The studio lights glowed brightly as the audience settled into their seats for another highly anticipated episode of a popular daytime talk show. The atmosphere was energetic, and everyone seemed excited for the arrival of the day's special guest, Teddy Swims. Known for his powerful voice, emotional performances, and humble personality, Teddy had become one of the most talked-about artists in the music industry. Backstage, Teddy adjusted the sleeves of his jacket and took a deep breath. He had spent the previous weeks traveling non-stop, promoting new music, and performing in sold-out venues across the country. Despite the exhausting schedule, he remained grateful for every opportunity. When a producer approached him with a smile and informed him that it was time to go on stage, Teddy nodded and walked toward the entrance. The audience erupted into applause as he stepped onto the stage. Kelly Clarkson greeted him warmly, and the two exchanged friendly smiles before taking their seats. At first, the conversation flowed naturally. They discussed Teddy's recent success, his journey from performing in small venues to becoming an internationally recognized artist, and the loyal fans who had supported him from the beginning. The audience laughed at Teddy's stories about life on the road. Kelly shared a few experiences from her own career, and the interview seemed to be going perfectly. Cameras moved smoothly around the set while producers watched from behind the scenes, pleased with how everything was unfolding. As the conversation continued, Kelly shifted the discussion towards social media. She mentioned how fame often came with criticism and asked Teddy how he handled negative comments online. Teddy answered honestly, explaining that he tried to focus on positivity and avoid unnecessary drama. He spoke about mental health and the importance of protecting one's peace. The audience applauded his response. However, the tone of the interview began to change when Kelly brought up a recent online controversy involving a comment that had circulated across entertainment blogs. The subject had generated significant discussion among fans. Though Teddy had previously chosen not to address it publicly, Teddy's smile faded slightly. He remained calm and explained that the story had been exaggerated by online speculation. He said that people often formed opinions without knowing the complete picture. Kelly listened carefully but followed up with another question that dug deeper into the issue. A few audience members shifted in their seats. Teddy answered politely again, attempting to redirect the conversation toward his music and upcoming projects. For a moment, it seemed the discussion would move on, but Kelly referenced another report connected to the same controversy. The atmosphere became noticeably tense. Teddy crossed his arms and leaned back slightly. He explained that many of the rumors had affected people close to him and that he preferred not to revisit the situation publicly. His voice remained respectful, but there was clear discomfort in his expression. Kelly acknowledged his concern, but suggested that public figures often had a responsibility to address stories that generated widespread attention. The comment caught Teddy off guard. He responded carefully, saying that while transparency was important, everyone deserved personal boundaries. The audience grew unusually quiet as the conversation turned into a respectful but increasingly firm disagreement. Kelly argued that public interest naturally followed celebrities, and that questions came with the territory. Teddy replied that being an entertainer did not mean every private matter should become public discussion. Neither person raised their voice, but the contrast in their perspectives became impossible to ignore. Backstage, producers exchanged nervous glances. The audience could sense the tension building. Kelly asked one final question related to the controversy, suggesting that avoiding discussion sometimes encouraged further speculation. Teddy paused before answering. For several seconds, the studio remained completely silent. He looked down at the floor, then toward the audience. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a mixture of frustration and disappointment. He explained that he had agreed to appear on the show to discuss music, creativity, and the projects he was passionate about. He respected the program and appreciated the invitation, but he felt the conversation had moved away from those topics. Several audience members nodded. Kelly attempted to respond, explaining that her intention was simply to understand his perspective. Teddy listened but appeared emotionally exhausted. Months of public scrutiny, relentless travel, and constant attention seemed to weigh heavily on him in that moment. He thanked the audience for their support and expressed appreciation for everyone who had followed his career. Then something unexpected happened. Teddy slowly stood from his chair. A wave of murmurs spread throughout the studio. Kelly looked surprised and asked if everything was okay. Teddy smiled politely and said that he needed to step away. He emphasized that he had no personal hostility toward anyone on the stage. He simply felt it was the right moment to end the conversation. The audience watched in stunned silence. For a brief moment, nobody seemed sure what would happen next. Teddy shook Kelly's hand respectfully and thanked her for having him on the show. He then turned toward the audience and waved. Some fans began applauding. Others appeared shocked. As Teddy walked toward the edge of the stage, cameras continued rolling while producers scrambled behind the scenes. The unexpected development had transformed a routine interview into one of the most talked about moments of the season. Kelly remained seated for several seconds, gathering her thoughts. To her credit, she handled the situation professionally. She thanked the audience for their patience and acknowledged that live conversations sometimes took unexpected turns. She expressed respect for Teddy and wished him success with his future projects. Meanwhile, Teddy made his way backstage. Away from the bright lights and cameras, he finally exhaled deeply. Members of his team approached him, asking if he was all right. He nodded and thanked them for their support. Although the interview had not gone as planned, he felt relieved. Sometimes, he believed, protecting personal boundaries was more important than continuing a conversation that no longer felt productive. Within hours, clips from the interview spread across social media platforms. Fans debated every moment. Some supported Teddy's decision to leave, arguing that celebrities deserved privacy. Others felt that difficult questions were part of being a public figure. Entertainment websites published countless articles analyzing the exchange. Comment sections filled with opinions from viewers around the world. Yet despite the controversy, one thing became clear. People were not discussing anger or hostility. They were discussing boundaries, respect, and the challenges that come with life in the public eye. Days later, both Teddy and Kelly continued focusing on their careers. Neither publicly attacked the other. Instead, the incident gradually became another memorable chapter in the unpredictable world of live television. For many viewers, the moment served as a reminder that even famous artists are human beings. Behind the headlines, performances, and interviews are real people navigating pressure, expectations, and personal limits. And while the interview ended in an unexpected way, it left audiences with an important question. How much of a person's private life should belong to the public? The answer, as the debate continued online, remained different for everyone. But one thing was certain. The unforgettable moment when Teddy Swims walked off the stage would be remembered for a very long time.